when will they add a veteran defensive player in camp? Okay, because if you go look at the history, at least under Mike McCarthy, damn near every single offseason in July or August, they've added a veteran defender all the way back to 2020. They brought in an Everson Griffin later in the offseason, I think sometime in August. In 2021, it was Malik Hooker. In July. In 22, it was Anthony Barr. And then last year, it was two guys, Linval Joseph and Carl Lawson. And if you go look at those years, each one of those positions were positions we went into camp saying, hey, man, question marks. Do we have enough here? And one of those positions we're talking about, you're talking about it right now, Tuai, nickel corner, or just corner in general. And who is the big name we keep talking about? The most obvious name, Stephon Gilmore. You bring in a Stephon Gilmore here, obviously he would play boundary, which will help shift Deron Bland inside. That makes the most sense, right? We've all been talking about that. But allow me to throw another name out here. And shouts out to my guy, Guru, who's been getting on me to talk more about him. And, you know, I was going to do a separate show about this, but I'm going to bring it up right here on the Sky and Two Eyes show because I'm a little biased, right? I'm a little biased because short kings, little guys, I'm always rooting for. But he plays much bigger. Mike Hilton is still available out there at corner. And I had this conversation with Foots. I think we did it on the collective where I'm like, you know, I'm a big Mike Hilton fan. I would love if they went out and got a Mike Hilton. But does he fit the measurable formula that a guy like Eberflus has traditionally liked, right? He comes from the Marinelli tree where those guys, he likes longer corners out there. But then I was like, you know what? He inherited a guy in Indianapolis named Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore has been one of the best nickel cornerbacks in the entire National Football League for quite some time. And he didn't draft him. He didn't sign him. He inherited him and helped mold a Kenny Moore. So, yes, Mike Hilton from a size department may not make a ton of sense for Flus, but from a play department to if you haven't checked him out, go look at how Mike Hilton plays, man. He's a physical dude. So you're familiar with Mike?
Yeah. He's I know. I don't know how I even started, but I was reading some stuff about the Steelers, and fans were really sad to see him go. They
Yeah,
thought he was an important part of their
was.
defense and what they like to do. And they wanted. I like to check the temperature of fans, and fans wanted to bring him back with the Steelers. So I know that the guy can play.
Yes.
When you talk about the measurables, what are we talking
He's
about?
5'9", a buck 85, buck 90. He's not a big dude, but again, he plays bigger. Like you talk about the Pittsburgh time when he became a free agent. I was pounding the table to get a Mike Hilton in here back in 2021. He went and ended up going to Cincinnati, played in the Super Bowl. Big. That was the year they won. I think got Cheetah Bay, Awuzie. They got Mike Hilton. They added some defenders. I think B.J. Hill, and they turned around that defense and they went to the Super Bowl. I would bring him in here because I do think he fits the mold of what Eberflus is looking for, which is a physical nickel cornerback who can play the run. And that's one thing Mike Hilton has done throughout his career is he can play that damn run. He run fits very well. He's physical. He can tackle. And with Flus, again, he gets this from a Rob Marinelli. He likes to blitz those nickel corners. And if you go look at Mike Hilton's career in Pittsburgh, he was one of the best, if not the best, blitzer at nickel. He had something like 10 or 11 sacks in his 4 years in Pittsburgh, but he didn't get used in that manner in Cincinnati. Well, you get Flus in here, or you get him with Flus, I think he can, pick that back up. But I think Mike Hilton, from a fit standpoint, is a fantastic fit. He's a veteran on the other side of 30 who can kind of bridge that gap until Revel, and Diggs get their feet together and get going. He can be the leader in that room. I don't think they have that right now in the cornerback room, right? And he could be that.
I agree. You got a lot of nuggets.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Mike, though. So, again, I'm a little biased. I've been a big fan of his game for a while. He's not the same cover guy that he was probably in Pittsburgh because he was a little younger and more athletic. But, again, just strictly fit, Mike Hilton makes a ton of sense here if they don't want to go the Gilly route. I don't think he's going to cost as much of a Stephon Gilmore.
No, he's not going to cost as much, but also too, I just think you got to throw things at the wall. Now, the thing about it is when you talk about a Stephon Gilmore or Mike Hilton, there's not a lot of names that are available at that position or at the corner position that you would be like how you are, where you like, yeah, he could come in, he could. There's not a lot of names there, so
Mm.
how long, like how far into camp do you need to be to see? Because that's the thing. That's what they're gonna be doing
Yeah.
is how long is it gonna take? Now, don't get it twisted. The Cowboys corners got they work cut out for them. I got their work cut out for them. And I mean, you dealing with a CD and a George Pickens and a Jake Ferguson and maybe a Turpin every day, it's not gonna look good all the time, y'all. Especially since the defensive the defensive line can't really like finish plays, y'all. Like, be
Hmm.
prepared to see CD and those guys and George Pickens just looking like they cooking folks. Just be prepared because that's how talented they are. But I want to know how long it's gonna take, and even as an evaluator, how do you gauge
I
when
mean,
you have that much talent?
you can tell they have the practice film that we don't, right? That's one of my many gripes with the
Yeah,
front office in their process in the offseason. They tend to do this. This is their MO. Steven will
they
flat out
wait.
come out and say, "Hey man, we want to wait till we get to camp and see what we got." And to an extent, I like to look at things from both sides. To an extent, I get what he's saying, but then there's instances, and there's a lot of the times this is obvious, where it's like, "Hey dog, what do you need to go to camp to see to know that you have a deficiency here?" Right? What do you need?
Mm.
Like at cornerback, I get it. Kyer Elam, former first round pick, did some great things in minicamp and OTAs. But are you really going to put everything on Kyer Elam, and say, you know what? He got better, so we're good to go? Absolutely
Mhm.
not, man. I feel like cornerback was one of those positions that you should still be actively trying to improve, as well as quickly here, defensive tackle. I know a lot of fans are like, hey, year 3, Mozzie Smith. And if you believe he's going to take such a significant jump in year 3 where you don't need to give any more help in that room, then more power to you. I just,
You tripping.
I'm not on that train. Will he improve? He should. I really do. But to me, not to the point where it's like, hey, we straight at defensive tackle. I'm still trying to get a veteran to compete with Mozzie Smith
Yeah.
and made the best man win. And now you've improved your depth at that nose tackle position.
No, definitely. And we talked about earlier, we talk about the run stopping and things like that. Like, you need an anchor in the middle of that defense. And I'm not saying again like that. I have talked to you about it. We talked about it offline. Is that you did see improvements in Mozzie as the year went on, but it is increments. And also
Flashes.
too, when you talk about the defensive tackle position, good teams have depth at that position because these guys' motors are not built like that. You do run into some defensive tackles that can go and go and go, but that is a position that is meant to be rotated to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need a rotation to where there's not a huge drop off because the problem is, and we just talked about this with Micah when he comes out the game, there's no pass rush with the defensive tackles. You want there to be at least some continuity when it comes to if another guy rotates in, the other team's not substituting like Drewsty. We got him.
Got him.
We
Right.
up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
got him.
Or you get caught with a guy out there. Right. And that happens sometimes where teams say, oh, you got your end game rotation out there, your NASCAR package. So we're going to go big. We caught you. That's what they did with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn
Mm-hmm.
would be so
All the
light,
time.
right? They go out in 13. Quinn will come out in big nickel, and they'd be like, oh, y'all coming out with a linebacker or a safety at linebacker
Mm,
consistently? Oh, we just gonna stay big, right? We're
mm.
gonna do the obvious. So yeah, I'm with you. If you can get a couple defensive tackles to where, okay, Mozzie goes out, but another legitimate veteran know-how run defender steps in and he's able to fulfill that role to where the defense is like, damn, we have to play it the same way. We can't take advantage X, Y, Z.
Yeah, they got to be adamant about it though. Like I said,
Yeah.
they got to be decisive. The minute that they see that there's an issue, they need to be on phones. They need to be trying to pursue these things because those guys go fast. And a lot of these guys that we're talking about, they sitting up on the couch waiting.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, and I wonder, this is just me talking, I don't know. But I wonder if there have been some conversations with Stephon Gilmore in a sense of like, just no, that's not what's happening at all. Because I don't want
You
Gilly
heard
mad
it
at
here
me.
first, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, I
On
want
this,
Gilly mad at me Gilly too quiet for you to be having him mad at you. I don't want nobody that is
But
that quiet and
Gilly ain't gonna
chill
say.
like that mad at me.
Hey Gilly,
They
we heard on the Sky and 2 Eyes show that you have interest in the Cowboys. What do you guys say about that? No. That's all. That's all Gilly gonna say. Gilly don't got much words in him. No.
no, he ain't about to
No, I
say
feel you. I hear
game
you. I hear you.
blouses to me.
Blouses.
He about to get me. So no, but I wonder if there have been some conversations on the back end of like, hey, stay ready. Maybe there's a number, maybe there's because he is
I'm
familiar
sure. I'm
with
sure.
being here. And if I'm not mistaken, he's here often, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be fine with me. But back to the cornerback conversation really quick. We have not mentioned his name that much, but Lord have mercy, Kalen Carson could change this whole conversation if he come on with it.
Hmm.
I
That's
I'm not
that's
saying, and I'm
fair.
not saying again, I'm not saying that you just don't go get out a veteran, go get a veteran. But if he shows semblance of who he was and who we expected him to be, then you feel even more a little bit more comfortable with this room, even from a boundary standpoint, because you just like, okay, at least you have that guy there.
No,
And again,
it's
he's
fair.
not super proven, but I just I don't know. It's weird how much the conversation about him has changed. Um, and I just don't know. I have no idea what the team expects from him and what other people expect from him. I don't even know if you should expect anything right now. How do you feel about it?
I think it's one of those show me to be decided. TBD is what I call it. Because of first of all, there's a new regime. And he was a fifth round pick under a different regime, likely being
Right.
asked to do different things. However, we've had this conversation multiple times too. I thought coming out, the way he played coming out, I know it changed when he got here. He was physical. He was in your chest. He was a physical tackler. I thought he could be a great, not great, but I thought he can move inside and have a home at nickel. I thought that's where he could live. And you're right. I wonder where Flus thinks he can play, because if they believes he can be a Mike Hilton type, right? Then or Kenny Moore type, then you slide him inside and let him play some nickel. So that's actually a great thing to watch for, just from a singular person. Is where will Kalen Carson play? Because he didn't get out there much in camp and OTA. So that's a
No,
good
yeah.
eye.
If we see him at the nickel spot, then we say, "Oh, okay,
That's what
that's
they're
something to
thinking.
keep."
Yeah.
That's what they're thinking, and I would be okay with that.